Hey class, welcome to week 4 of online science. It's almost been a whole month of online science, so good job, guys. I'm pretty sure everybody in class is caught up on everything, so pat on the back on that. This week we are still going to talk about carrying capacity a little bit, but we're really focusing on Earth Day and Earth Week. It's the 50th anniversary since the first Earth Day was designated. So every April 20th is Earth Day, and the first one was in 1970. So fast forward 50 years, and here we are. Um, so you might be wondering, what is Earth Day? Well, Earth Day is just a holiday that demonstrates support for environmental protection. Some example. So the theme for this year is climate action. So some of the things that Earth Day kind of represents or supports is action on climate change, action on cleaning up pollution, habitat loss, and resurrecting habitat for different animals, things like that. So this year's focus is on climate action. So what we're going to be doing is figuring out our carbon footprint and what we can do to lessen it. So let's watch a quick video on Earth Day.
April 22nd is Earth Day. It is an opportunity for every person to cherish and protect our planet. In the late 1960s, scientists began to realize our environment was growing weaker and less healthy. Many of our great modern innovations like trains, cars, planes, and factories often create pollution and waste. Conservationists and environmentalist pioneers realized that if humans weren't more careful, the planet would get irreversibly damaged, and people would have a hard time living here. A senator from Wisconsin named Gaylord Nelson wanted to create a special day for us to acknowledge the state of our planet and work to keep it healthy. He proposed the first Earth Day in 1970. He chose April 22nd so that students could participate through their schools during a season good for outdoor activities. Senator Nelson asked the governors of all 50 states and the mayors of the largest U.S. cities to issue Earth Day proclamations to get people interested. And they were. Earth Day was a huge success. Senator Nelson's idea brought together more than 20 million people nationwide to support one cause, a healthy Earth. The next two Earth Days actually occurred only once a decade, on April 22nd, 1980 and 1990. But since 1990, Earth Day has been celebrated every year and worldwide, with more than 1 billion people planting trees, cleaning up trash, stopping pollution, and encouraging recycling and conservation. Things are looking up for the Earth. What do you and your community do to celebrate Earth Day?
So inspired by Earth Day, I'd like to challenge you to figure out how sustainable your lifestyle is. We're going to be using an ecological footprint calculator to figure out how sustainable our lifestyles are. I'm going to show you how to do it real quick. We're going to go through the website. After we're all done, you're going to tell me how many Earths it would take if everybody on Earth lived like you, and 2 things you can do to lessen your carbon footprint. So let's go ahead and show you the website. So on your Google Classroom, there is a link to this website. It says ecological footprint. You say take the first step. Log in with your school email. Logs in like that. So first question, you go through, you answer the questions, and it'll tell you your carbon footprint. How often do you eat animal-based products? So beef, pork, chicken, fish, eggs, and dairy. I would say very often. Every single meal I have a meat product. I eat dairy all the time. So very often for me, meat daily. How much of the food that you eat is unprocessed, unpackaged, or locally grown? So how much of your food doesn't come in a package from the store? You buy it either from your local butcher or you shoot your own wild game, things like that. I would say 30% of my diet is stuff that I've hunted or fished myself, and the rest is all packaged and processed that I buy at the store. Which housing type best describes you? I live in a just a regular house in town, so freestanding. My house does have running water, so freestanding with running water. Some other options here is like a duplex, so a couple houses connected to each other, an apartment building. So pick whichever one best fits your situation. What material is your house constructed with? Mine is made out of wood. Some other options, maybe you have a steel house or brick house. Pick whichever one describes your housing situation. How many people live in your house? Just me and my wife, so 2. If you have a bigger family, you can bump it up, but just 2 for me. What is the size of your home? I believe my house is about 1,700 square feet. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. 1,700. So way down here, not where I thought it was. 1,700, right about there. Do I have electricity in my house? Yes. How energy efficient is my house? I'd say average. I have modern appliances and I have, AC, heat, things like that. So average. If you have really like energy efficient things, maybe you have brand new appliances that are really energy efficient, you'd go vary, but mine is about average. What percentage of your home's electricity comes from renewable resources? I'm going to stick with the 14% because I know I just get my energy from the grid, and about 14% is the average. Maybe your house has solar panels and you get more from that, or maybe you have a windmill that goes directly to your house. I don't know. So if you're just on the grid, I'd say 14%. If you have different situation where maybe you have solar panels, things like that, maybe you can bump it up. Compared to my neighbors, how much trash do I generate? I produce a little bit less trash than my neighbors, I would say. How far do I travel by car or motorcycle each week? So I travel about 20 miles per day to go to work. So that's 100 right there. And then I usually travel maybe on average 25 miles from my house every weekend. Some weekends less, some weekends more. So I'm going to go maybe like 150. How much by motorcycle? 0. I do not own a motorcycle. What's the fuel economy of my vehicles? Well, I have a 97 F-150. I'm going to go with 17 miles to the gallon, even though I know that's even generous. So not a very fuel efficient vehicle. When do you travel by car? How often do you carpool? Sometimes I go places with my wife. Other than that, not very often. So I'm going to go 10%. So whenever I'm traveling with my wife, which is when I'm not going to work. How far do I travel on public transportation each week? 0. You might be able to put more if you ride the bus to school. You could put however much you think you ride on the bus. So public transportation, try to give a good estimate on that. How many hours do you fly each year? I don't know. Probably like, I only usually fly once or twice a year. So maybe like 6 hours. So it says that it would take 4.7 Earths if everybody lived on Earth like me. So if everybody lived on Earth like me, it would take 4.5 Earths to sustain us. Not very sustainable. Here's some solutions I can do to figure out what I can do to lessen my carbon footprint, except that. So you can go through these, figure out some different ideas, click through them. Let's see here, just go to Minnesota. Let's see here. Go through the debate here. You can go through, you can click each of these links. So talking to your politicians is a big one. So look at each of these options on the map and tell me you're going to tell me on the Google Doc 2 things you can do to lessen your carbon footprint. To relate this back to carrying capacity, Remember, carrying capacity is is determined by the amount of food, water, and shelter. In this case, for the human population, the big variable is going to be the amount of food, right? It takes a lot of energy to sustain us and allow us to travel as much as we do. So our carrying capacity, if we want to live like me, is fairly low. You're not going to be able to fit that many people on the planet that want to live like I do. Okay, so I'm going to have to take a couple steps to try to lessen my carbon footprint. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to fit the 10 billion people that we need, right? It takes a lot of energy to create transportation for people. It takes a lot of energy to feed people. So those are really important when considering your lifestyle, right? You want to have the smallest footprint that you can, so we can feed and allow these people to be on our planet. So for this week, like I was saying, we focused on Earth Day, Earth Week, things like that. Your assignment now is that Google Doc. You're going to go through that website. The link's on the Google assignment. You're going to figure out what your carbon footprint is. Maybe it's more than me. Maybe it's less than me. Write down your answer on the Google Doc and then come up with 2 solutions to figure out how you can lessen your carbon footprint. If you guys have any questions, always feel free to email me. We can always set up a Google Meet for a one-on-one. If you have questions, love to hear from you guys. Send me an email if it's between the school hours. I'm usually pretty quick to respond, so that's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me is to just send a quick email. I hope you guys have a great week. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you on Wednesday.